Hello, and welcome back to Speak English Daily.
Hi, everyone. We are very happy to see you here today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about something that happens to all of us, unexpected changes in life. We make plans, set goals, and imagine how our days will go, but sometimes things turn out very differently.
That's true. No matter how organized we are, life can surprise us. One moment, everything seems predictable, and the next moment, something changes. Sometimes it's a small change, and sometimes it's a big one.
I think most people enjoy having a plan. When we know what we're going to do, we feel comfortable and prepared. But things don't always go as planned. That's a lesson many of us learn again and again.
I agree. Even simple plans can change unexpectedly. For example, you might plan a relaxing weekend with your friends. You arrange everything, choose a place to meet, and look forward to having a good time.
Then suddenly the weather changes. Maybe it starts raining heavily or a storm arrives. Instead of spending time outdoors, everyone has to stay inside or cancel the event completely.
Situations like that are common. You spend days thinking about something, and then a single unexpected event changes everything. It can be disappointing, especially when you were excited about your plan.
I remember planning a picnic with my family last year. The weather forecast looked perfect for several days. Then, on the morning of the picnic, dark clouds appeared and it started raining.
I wasn't expecting that.
Neither was I. We had prepared food and packed everything the night before. When we looked outside and saw the rain, it caught me by surprise.
What did you do?
We decided to adapt. Instead of going to the park, we stayed home and had lunch together indoors. It wasn't what we originally planned, but we still enjoyed spending time together.
That's a good example of being flexible. Sometimes we can't control what happens, but we can control how we respond to it.
Another common situation is a sudden schedule change. Maybe you have an important meeting and then your manager moves it to a different day, or perhaps a friend cancels dinner at the last minute.
Yes, and those situations can feel stressful. When our schedule changes unexpectedly, we often have to rearrange other activities as well.
I had to change my plans many times because of schedule changes. At first, I would become frustrated. I felt like my day was no longer under control.
I think many listeners can relate to that feeling. An unexpected change can create stress because people like certainty. We want to know what will happen next.
The good news is that flexibility becomes easier with practice. The more we learn to adapt, the less stressful these situations become.
That's a great point. Unexpected changes are part of life, and while we may not enjoy them, learning to handle them calmly can make a big difference.
Learning to stay calm during small changes is helpful because sometimes life brings much bigger changes. Have you ever experienced a major change that completely affected your daily life?
Yes, I have. A few years ago, I went through a major career change that I never saw coming. At the time, I was working for a company that seemed stable and successful.
What happened?
The company decided to restructure. Several departments were reorganized, and management announced that some positions would be eliminated. At first, I wasn't too concerned because I thought my role was secure.
I can imagine that many employees felt nervous when they heard that news.
They certainly did. Everyone was talking about it. People were trying to guess what would happen and whether their jobs would be affected. A few weeks later, I was called into a meeting.
That sounds stressful.
It was. During the meeting, I learned that my position was being eliminated. I wasn't expecting that. I had worked there for several years and thought I would continue there for a long time.
What was your first reaction?
Honestly, I was shocked. For the first few days, I could hardly believe it. Losing a job can affect more than your income. It can also affect your confidence and your sense of security.
That's very true. Work often becomes a big part of our identity.
It was a difficult time. Every morning I woke up thinking about the future. I didn't know what to do next. I had bills to pay and responsibilities to manage, so the uncertainty felt overwhelming.
How long were you unemployed?
For about 4 months. It wasn't an extremely long period, but it felt much longer while I was living through it.
What did you do during that time?
I treated the job search like a full-time job. I updated my resume, searched online listings, contacted former colleagues, and submitted applications almost every day.
Were you getting responses from employers?
Some, but not many at first. That's one of the challenges people face when searching for a new position. You send applications and often hear nothing back.
That can be discouraging.
Very discouraging. There were days when I questioned myself. I wondered if I had enough experience, or if I should change careers completely.
Did things eventually improve?
Slowly, yes. After several weeks, I started receiving invitations for interviews. Each interview gave me more experience and helped rebuild my confidence.
That's encouraging.
One interview led to another, and eventually I received an offer from a company I admired for years. The position included new responsibilities and opportunities for growth.
So the unexpected change led you somewhere better.
It did. Looking back, it was a blessing in disguise. At the time, I only saw the loss, but later I realized it pushed me towards a better opportunity. Everything worked out in the end.
Hearing your story reminds me of a major change I experienced. Mine wasn't about losing a job. It was about moving to a completely different city.
That sounds like a huge adjustment. What led to the move?
It happened because of work. My company opened a new office and needed someone to help manage a project there. I wasn't planning to relocate, but they offered me the position and gave me only few weeks to decide.
That's a short amount of time for such a big decision.
It really was. I had built a comfortable life where I lived. My friends were nearby, I knew the area well, and I had my favorite places to visit every week. Suddenly, I had to think about packing everything and starting over somewhere else.
Were you excited or nervous?
Both. Part of me was excited about the new experience, but another part was afraid. After I arrived, the excitement disappeared quickly, and reality set in. I didn't know anyone there.
I think many people can relate to that feeling.
The first few weeks were difficult. I felt out of place. Even simple things felt unfamiliar. I didn't know the neighborhood, I wasn't sure where to shop, and I spent many evenings alone in my apartment.
Loneliness can be one of the hardest parts of moving.
Definitely. I missed my friends and family. Back home, I always had someone to call for coffee or dinner. In the new city, I had to create a new social life from the beginning.
How did you handle that challenge?
I focused on building a routine. Every morning, I visited the same coffee shop before work. In the evenings, I walked around different parts of the neighborhood and explored local parks and stores.
That sounds like a smart approach.
It helped me feel more connected to the city. Then I joined a weekend photography group. That was one of the best decisions I made.
Did you meet people there?
Yes, everyone shared the same interest, so conversations happened naturally. Slowly but surely, I started recognizing familiar faces and developing friendships.
That's wonderful.
It took some time to adjust, but things improved. A few months later, I realized I wasn't thinking about moving back anymore. I had my own routine, favorite restaurants, and a growing community of friends.
That's a great sign.
One day, I was walking through the city and suddenly noticed something surprising. I started feeling at home. The place that once felt strange had become part of my life.
Stories like that remind us that adaptation often happens gradually.
Absolutely. And before we continue, if you're enjoying this conversation and learning useful English expressions, don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us about an unexpected change you've experienced in your own life.
I'd love to hear those stories too, because everyone has a unique experience.
Speaking of unique experiences, sometimes unexpected changes bring opportunities we never imagined.
That's a great point. Many people focus only on what they lose, but they don't always notice what they gain.
Have you ever discovered something valuable because of an unexpected change?
Many times. In fact, after changing jobs, I met people who completely changed the direction of my career. One introduction led to another, and suddenly I had opportunities I never would have found otherwise.
That's interesting because something similar happened to me after I relocated.
Really?
Yes, through the photography group, I met people from different industries and backgrounds. One member invited me to help with a creative project, which allowed me to learn new skills outside my regular work.
That's a perfect example of how growth often begins with uncertainty.
I agree. Before moving, I never imagined learning photography seriously. It started as a hobby, but eventually became something I genuinely loved.
Sometimes one small decision creates a chain of new experiences.
And many of those experiences start when we're willing to take risks.
That's true. There was a training program at my new company that required public speaking. At first, I wanted to avoid it because speaking in front of groups made me nervous.
What changed your mind?
I decided to take a chance. I told myself that growth rarely happens inside a comfort zone. The first presentation wasn't perfect, but I learned from it.
And I assume your confidence improved over time?
It did. The more I practiced, the better I became. That single skill eventually helped me earn greater responsibilities at work.
It's amazing how opportunities can appear in unexpected places.
One door closes, another opens. That's a saying people use often, and I think there's a lot of truth in it.
I agree. You never know what might happen when life takes an... It took some time to adjust, but things improved. A few months later, I realized I wasn't thinking about moving back anymore. I had my own routine, favorite restaurants, and a growing community of friends.
That's a great sign.
One day, I was walking through the city and suddenly noticed something surprising. I started feeling at home. The place that once felt strange had become part of my life.
Stories like that remind us that adaptation often happens gradually.
Absolutely. And before we continue, if you're enjoying this conversation and learning useful English expressions, don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us about an unexpected change you've experienced in your own life.
I'd love to hear those stories too, because everyone has a unique experience.
Speaking of unique experiences, sometimes unexpected changes bring opportunities we never imagined.
That's a great point. Many people focus only on what they lose, but they don't always notice what they gain.
Have you ever discovered something valuable because of an unexpected change?
Many times. In fact, after changing jobs, I met people who completely changed the direction of my career. One introduction led to another, and suddenly I had opportunities I never would have found otherwise.
That's interesting because something similar happened to me after I relocated.
Really?
Yes, through the photography group, I met people from different industries and backgrounds. One member invited me to help with a creative project, which allowed me to learn new skills outside my regular work.
That's a perfect example of how growth often begins with uncertainty.
I agree. Before moving, I never imagined learning photography seriously. It started as a hobby, but eventually became something I genuinely loved.
Sometimes one small decision creates a chain of new experiences.
And many of those experiences start when we're willing to take risks.
That's true. There was a training program at my new company that required public speaking. At first, I wanted to avoid it because speaking in front of groups made me nervous.
What changed your mind?
I decided to take a chance. I told myself that growth rarely happens inside a comfort zone. The first presentation wasn't perfect, but I learned from it.
And I assume your confidence improved over time?
It did. The more I practiced, the better I became. That single skill eventually helped me earn greater responsibilities at work.
It's amazing how opportunities can appear in unexpected places.
One door closes, another opens. That's a saying people use often, and I think there's a lot of truth in it.
I agree. You never know what might happen when life takes an unexpected turn.
Sometimes the outcome is far better than we imagined.
In fact, many opportunities only become visible after we're forced to leave familiar situations behind.
And when we remain open to learning, meeting people, and trying new things, an unexpected change can reveal potential we never knew we had.
That's such an encouraging way to look at it.
And in many cases, it turned out better than expected.
It turned out better than expected. I like that phrase because it reminds us that positive outcomes are possible. But we should also acknowledge something important. Not every change feels positive in the beginning.
That's true. Sometimes the emotional side of change can be very difficult. Even when a change eventually leads to something good, the experience itself can be uncomfortable.
I think uncertainty is one of the hardest parts. When we don't know what's going to happen next, our minds often imagine the worst possible outcomes.
I agree. People naturally want answers and stability. When those things disappear, anxiety can quickly take their place.
Have you ever experienced that kind of uncertainty?
Definitely. During the period when I was searching for work, there were many nights when I couldn't stop thinking about the future. Questions kept running through my mind. What if I couldn't find a job? What if my savings ran out? What if I made the wrong decisions?
Those thoughts can become exhausting.
They can. Sometimes uncertainty creates more stress than the actual problem. The human mind doesn't like unanswered questions.
That's a great observation. I remember feeling something similar after moving. My challenge wasn't employment, it was wondering whether I would ever feel connected to my new environment.
Did you ever regret your decision?
For a while, yes. There were days when I questioned whether relocating had been a mistake. I saw photos from gatherings with old friends and felt disappointed that I wasn't there.
Disappointment is another emotion that often comes with change.
Absolutely. Sometimes we focus on what we've lost instead of what we still have. That's a very natural reaction.
I think people often expect themselves to adjust quickly, but real life doesn't always work that way.
That's an important point. Social media can make it seem like everyone adapts immediately, but most people need time.
Certainly I did. When I was unemployed, I felt overwhelmed. Every task seemed bigger than it really was. Even opening emails or searching job listings sometimes felt exhausting.
Thank you for sharing that honestly. Many listeners may have experienced similar feelings.
I think so. People often hide their struggles, but difficult emotions are normal parts of major life changes.
What helped you get through that period?
First, I accepted that progress would be slow. Instead of trying to solve everything at once, I focused on small daily goals. One application, one phone call, one step at a time.
That sounds practical.
It helped reduce anxiety because I stopped thinking about the entire future and concentrated on the present day.
I used a similar approach after relocating. I stopped asking myself whether I would be happy a year later. Instead, I focused on getting through 1 week at a time.
Were there other things that helped?
Support from other people made a huge difference. Regular conversations with family and friends reminded me that I wasn't facing challenges alone.
Support can be incredibly powerful. Sometimes a simple conversation helps us see situations more clearly.
Patience is important too. Many people want immediate results, but emotional recovery often happens gradually.
That's very true. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when I felt frustrated with my progress.
I can understand that.
But I learned that patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about continuing to move forward even when results aren't visible yet.
That's a wonderful lesson.
Looking back now, I can see that things gradually improved. The changes were small at first, but over time they added up and made a significant difference.
Hearing that reminds me that unexpected changes don't only affect our work or where we live, they can also affect the people around us and the relationships we value.
That's a great point. Some of the biggest changes in life involve other people rather than situations.
For example, friendships often change over time. When we're younger, we may see certain friends every day. Then life takes everyone in different directions.
I've experienced that myself. Some of my closest friends moved to different cities for work or family reasons. At first, we promised to talk all the time.
Let me guess, it didn't happen as expected.
Not really. Everyone became busy with new responsibilities. Weeks turned into months, and eventually we drifted apart.
That's a common experience. It doesn't always mean there was a problem. Sometimes people's lives simply move in different directions.
Exactly. For a while, I felt sad about that. I thought a strong friendship should stay the same forever.
What changed your perspective?
I realized that relationships can change without losing their value. Even if I don't speak with someone every week, I can still appreciate the role they played in my life.
I like that way of thinking. People come and go, but many leave positive memories and lessons behind.
Absolutely. And while some relationships fade, new ones often begin.
That's what happened after I relocated. At first, I focused on the friendships I left behind. Later, I realized I was missing opportunities to build new connections.
Did your social circle grow over time?
It did. Through work, hobbies, and community events, I met people I never would have known otherwise. Some of them became very close friends.
That's one of the surprising things about change. It can introduce us to people who become important parts of our lives.
Family relationships can change too. Children grow up, relatives move away, and family members experience different stages of life.
That's true. A few years ago, my brother moved abroad. We were used to seeing each other regularly, so the change felt strange.
Were you able to stay connected?
Yes, we made an effort to communicate consistently. We stayed in touch through calls and messages. It wasn't the same as being together in person, but it helped maintain our connection.
Communication really is the key. Relationships often require intentional effort, especially when circumstances change.
I completely agree. A strong support system doesn't always happen automatically. Sometimes we have to nurture it.
And I think that's an important lesson. Unexpected changes can reveal which relationships matter most and which connections need more attention.
It taught me an important lesson about appreciation. I stopped taking people for granted and became more intentional about staying connected.
That's such a valuable realization. Speaking of lessons, when you look back on all the changes you've experienced, what do you think you've learned?
That's a thoughtful question. I think the biggest lesson is that I became stronger than I realized. During difficult moments, I often doubted myself, but after overcoming those challenges, I discovered abilities I didn't know I had.
I can relate to that. Difficult experiences have a way of revealing inner strength.
Another lesson involves perspective. When something unexpected happens, it often feels enormous in the moment. Months later, it may seem much smaller than we originally thought.
That's very true. Time changes how we view events.
I've also learned that flexibility is one of life's most useful skills. The more adaptable we become, the easier it is to handle uncertainty.
I learned to be more flexible as well. Earlier in my career, I wanted everything to follow a specific plan. Now I understand that plans are helpful, but they shouldn't control our happiness.
That's an excellent distinction. One quality I've developed through experience is resilience. Every challenge I faced taught me that setbacks are temporary.
Resilience doesn't mean avoiding difficulties. It means continuing forward despite them.
Exactly. And every challenge increased my confidence. Once you've overcome a difficult situation, future problems feel a little less intimidating.
I think that's because success leaves evidence. You can remind yourself that you've handled obstacles before.
Another lesson is learning to appreciate opportunities when they appear. Some of the best experiences in my life began as situations I initially wanted to avoid.
The same is true for me. Looking back, many opportunities arrived disguised as problems.
That's a powerful observation. Everything taught me something. Even disappointing experiences provided valuable knowledge that helped me later.
And many positive things happened because of changes I never planned for.
Which brings us to a simple truth. Change can help us grow even when growth isn't visible right away.
I couldn't agree more. Life is full of surprises, and sometimes those surprises help us become the people we're meant to be.
Life is full of surprises, and sometimes those surprises help us become the people we're meant to be. As we wrap up our conversation, let's share some practical advice for anyone currently dealing with an unexpected change.
I think that's a great idea. Chances are some of our listeners are facing uncertainty right now. Maybe they've started a new job, moved to a different place, ended a relationship, or experienced a major shift in their plans.
And if that's you, the first thing I'd like to say is that your feelings are valid. It's normal to feel confused, worried, frustrated, or even afraid when life changes suddenly.
Absolutely. Many people think they need to have all the answers immediately, but that's rarely realistic.
One of the most helpful pieces of advice I've learned is to take it one step at a time.
That's such a powerful mindset. When people focus on every possible problem at once, they often become overwhelmed.
Exactly. Instead of trying to solve the next 6 months of your life, focus on today. Ask yourself, what's the next helpful step I can take?
Small actions can create momentum. One phone call, one application, one conversation, or one decision can move you forward.
Another important tip is to focus on what you can control.
I completely agree. Many situations contain factors we cannot change. We can't control the weather, other people's decisions, or unexpected events.
But we can control our reactions, our effort, and the choices we make moving forward.
That's where adaptability becomes valuable. Adaptability doesn't mean enjoying every change. It means adjusting when circumstances require it.
I like that definition. Sometimes people think adaptability means never feeling disappointed.
Not at all. You can acknowledge disappointment while still adapting to a new reality.
Staying calm is important too. When emotions are high, people often make decisions they later regret.
That's why I encourage people to pause before reacting. Give yourself time to think clearly.
Taking a walk, talking with someone you trust, or simply getting enough rest can make a big difference.
Another helpful strategy is looking for solutions instead of focusing only on problems.
That's easier said than done, but it really works.
It does. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what options do I have? That simple question shifts your attention toward action.
And sometimes the best solution isn't perfect, it's simply the next reasonable step.
Exactly. Progress is often more important than perfection.
I also encourage people to stay open to opportunities. Unexpected changes sometimes create paths we never would have chosen ourselves.
That's certainly been true in my life. Some of my best experiences started as situations I initially resisted.
The same is true for me. If I had refused every uncomfortable opportunity, I would have missed many valuable experiences and friendships.
That's why maintaining a positive attitude matters. A positive attitude doesn't mean pretending everything is wonderful.
It means believing improvement is possible.
Well said. Hope and realism can exist together. Before we finish, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from unexpected changes?
I'd say this: every challenge brings a lesson. Sometimes the lesson appears quickly, and sometimes it takes years to understand, but there's usually something valuable to learn.
I love that. My biggest lesson is that we're often stronger than we think. Difficult experiences can reveal confidence, resilience, and abilities we never knew we possessed.
And once you've overcome one challenge, you gain experience that helps with future challenges.
So, if you're facing an unexpected change today, remember that your current situation is only one chapter of your story.
Be patient with yourself, stay open to possibilities, and keep moving forward.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us and practicing your English through real conversations.
We appreciate you listening, and we hope today's discussion gave you useful language, valuable ideas, and encouragement for whatever changes life may bring your way.